The wedding photo mocked me from its silver frame. Emma's radiant smile, my confident grin, two people who no longer existed. I sat alone in our kitchen, the silence so complete I could hear the refrigerator's hum, the tick of the wall clock marking another minute of her absence. Another girls' weekend. The fourth one this year, and it was only March. I'm Daniel Mercer, 38 years old, systems analyst, and according to my wife's assessment, though she doesn't know I know this yet, a spineless paycheck. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 9 years ago, Emma walked into my life at a mutual friend's barbecue. She was magnetic in a way that made everyone else fade into background noise. When she laughed at my awkward joke about SQL databases, I was done for. She claimed she loved my stability, my reliability. "You're my rock, Danny," she used to say, curling into my chest after long days at her marketing job. We built something real, or so I thought. The house in Westfield, a colonial with good bones that I'd bought with my inheritance from Dad before we married. The joint accounts we'd merged after the honeymoon in Cabo. The plans for kids we'd push back year after year because Emma wanted to establish her career first. I supported every decision, worked longer hours to ensure we had the cushion she wanted. Year 5 was when the foundation cracked. Subtle at first, she'd be texting during dinner, angling her phone away when I'd walk by. Date night suggestions met with eye rolls and excuses about exhaustion. She'd disappear into the bathroom for 40-minute baths with her phone, emerging with damp hair but dry skin. "You're imagining things," I told myself, increasing my project load at work. More money would help. Security would fix whatever was broken. When she started these weekend trips with her work friends, women I'd met exactly once at a company Christmas party, I told myself it was healthy. Space in a marriage, independence, all those magazine article buzzwords. Thursday morning, she'd kissed me goodbye with unusual enthusiasm. "Just need some girl time," she'd said, hefting her weekend bag that seemed heavier than usual. "You know how it is?" I didn't, actually. My friends consisted of 2 guys from college I exchanged fantasy football texts with and a few coworkers I'd grab occasional beers with. But I smiled, handed her the credit card she'd asked to borrow, just in case, and watched her Honda disappear down our tree-lined street. That was 3 days ago. These weekends used to be Friday to Sunday afternoon. Now Emma texted that she'd be home late Sunday, don't wait up. The casual dismissal stung more than I wanted to admit. When had I become the roommate she reported to rather than the husband she missed? My phone buzzed. Emma again. "Having so much fun. The girls say hi." The girls. I realized I couldn't name a single one besides Jessica from her department. Were they married? Single? Did their husbands sit alone on Saturday nights too, wondering when their wives had become strangers? I walked through our house, my house technically, though I'd never thought of it that way before. The formal dining room we never used. The guest bedroom she'd converted to a home office where she spent most evenings. The master bedroom that had become more about sleeping than anything else. In the kitchen, her iPad sat on the counter where she'd left it. She was always forgetting it, preferring her phone for everything. The screen was dark, but I noticed the charging cable was plugged in. Typical Emma. She'd remember to charge it, but forget to take it. I thought about the recipe she'd saved months ago. Her grandmother's pot roast she'd promised to make, but never did. Sunday dinner. I could surprise her. Have the house smelling like home when she walked in. Maybe that would remind her of what we had, what we could still have if we tried. My finger hovered over the iPad's home button. She wouldn't mind. We knew each other's passwords, had since the beginning. Trust, we'd called it. The foundation of everything we'd built. The screen came alive, and there it was. WhatsApp notifications from a group chat labeled Girls Weekend with 3 unread messages. The preview showed only, "Emma, you're terrible." Ha ha ha. Terrible at what? I wondered. And before I could stop myself, before I could remember that ignorance was bliss, I tapped the notification. The kitchen's overhead light seemed too bright suddenly, casting harsh shadows as I stared at the iPad screen. The WhatsApp conversation loaded, messages cascading upward in a history that went back months. My plan for pot roast evaporated as I began to read. At first, it was innocent enough. Jessica complaining about her boss, someone named Meredith sharing photos of her new apartment, wine recommendations, restaurant suggestions, the mundane chatter of friendship. I almost closed it, almost respected the boundary. Then I saw the photos from this weekend. The cabin looked expensive, exposed beams, stone fireplace, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a lake. Emma raised a wine glass to the camera, her smile looser than I'd seen in years. More photos. The girls by the hot tub, empty bottles lined up like trophies, Emma in a dress I didn't recognize. When had she bought that? I scrolled faster, something cold settling in my stomach. Then the first video appeared. Emma's face filled the screen, flushed and giggling. She was in a bedroom, not the main room from the photos. The lighting was dim, intimate. She held the phone close, whispering conspiratorially. "Girls, you were so right. Sometimes a woman just needs to get what she needs," she whispered to the camera. She panned the camera slightly, and I saw him. Just a glimpse of a shoulder, a man's chest. Emma giggled again. "Danny boy is home paying the bills while I'm here getting my back blown out. God, I needed this." The responses came fast. "Get it, girl. You deserve this. What Danny doesn't know won't hurt him." My hands trembled. I had to put the iPad down, walk to the sink, splash cold water on my face. This wasn't happening. Not Emma. Not my Emma. But I returned to the screen, drawn by the same horrible fascination that makes people slow down at accident scenes. More videos followed, each one a knife between my ribs. Emma filming herself in lingerie I'd never seen. "Bought this with the credit card. Danny thinks it was groceries. Ryan loves it, though," she purred to the camera. She blew a kiss to the camera. Ryan. The name hit familiar. Her company's sales director. The one she'd mentioned in passing. The one who was actually pretty smart for a sales guy. Another video, time-stamped from last month's Girls' Weekend. Emma and Ryan at a restaurant, her hand on his thigh under the table as she filmed secretly. "Anniversary dinner," she captioned it. 2 years of getting what I deserve." 2 years. I did the math, right around when she'd started becoming distant, when I'd started working more, trying to fix things with money and stability. The group chat was a masterclass in betrayal. Emma documented everything, seeking validation from her friends who cheered her on like she was the hero of her own story. They helped her craft alibis, suggested apps to hide photos, recommended hotels that didn't appear on credit card statements properly. One message thread made me physically sick. Meredith had asked, "Do you even love Daniel anymore?" Emma's response was a voice message. I pressed play, my wife's voice filling my quiet kitchen. Love him? I love what he provides. The house, the cars, the security. But love him? Please. He's about as exciting as watching paint dry. Zero passion, zero spontaneity. Just goes to work, comes home, asks about my day like a robot. At least Ryan makes me feel alive. Danny's just convenient. My spineless little paycheck. The others laughed. They actually laughed. Jessica added, "Girl, as long as he keeps paying for these weekends, who cares?" That black card must be nice. Emma responded, "It is. I've gotten really good at hiding the expenses. Groceries, car maintenance, work supplies. He never checks, never questions. Sometimes I feel bad, but then I remember I'm wasting my best years on him. I deserve to have some fun." I screenshotted everything. Every message, every photo, every video. I forwarded them to my personal email, my work email, saved them to the cloud, transferred them to a flash drive I found in the drawer. My mind had shifted into the same mode I used when backing up critical systems at work, methodical, thorough, redundant. The most recent thread was from an hour ago. Emma had sent another video, this one showing her in bed, sheets pulled up to her chest, clearly naked underneath. Ryan's voice in the background. "Come back to bed, baby." Emma spoke to the camera. "Sorry, girls. Duty calls. Thank God I have a few more days before I have to go back to playing housewife with Captain Boring." The comments were more of the same. Encouragement, envy, jokes about my obliviousness. I closed WhatsApp and found myself looking at her photos. Our vacation pics, selfies she'd taken, photos of meals she'd made, all performance, all lies. But I also found a hidden album, password protected. Except she'd used the same password she always did, her birthday backwards. Inside were hundreds of photos and videos with Ryan. Their real relationship, documented as thoroughly as she'd once documented ours. I set the iPad down exactly where I'd found it, at the same angle, the charging cable positioned just as she'd left it. Then I sat in my kitchen as the sun set, as darkness crept in, as the automatic lights clicked on. Emma thought I was spineless, boring, a convenient paycheck. She was right about one thing. I was predictable. But she'd misunderstood what that meant. I wasn't weak. I was methodical. I wasn't spineless. I was patient. And I wasn't stupid. I was strategic. I pulled out my phone and searched for divorce attorneys, specifically ones known for handling adultery cases. Margaret Walsh's name came up repeatedly. Aggressive, thorough, expensive. Perfect. I booked the earliest appointment available, Monday, 9 a.m. Emma would return Sunday night, expecting to find the same oblivious husband she'd left. She'd find me exactly where she expected, in my chair, watching TV, asking about her weekend. She'd kiss me with the same lips that had been on Ryan. She'd sleep beside me, dreaming of her next escape. And she'd have no idea that I'd already begun her destruction. My phone lit up with another text from Emma. "Miss you, babe. Can't wait to be home tomorrow." I typed back, "Miss you too. Can't wait to see you." For the first time in years, I meant it. I couldn't wait to see the look on her face when she realized her game was over. Sunday night, Emma came home at 8 p.m., practically glowing. I played my part perfectly, the oblivious husband happy to see his wife. She kissed me, told me about Meredith's crisis and how the girls had rallied around her. I nodded, asked the right questions, even made her tea before bed. She fell asleep quickly, exhausted from her weekend with Ryan. I lay beside her, wide awake, planning. Monday morning, after Emma left for work at 8:30, I drove straight to Margaret Walsh's downtown high-rise office, all glass and steel and barely contained aggression. The woman herself matched the decor, sharp edges, calculated presence, expensive everything. She gestured for me to sit, her eyes already calculating as I pulled out my organized folders. "Mr. Mercer, what brings you to my office this morning?" she asked. I laid out the evidence methodically. Printed screenshots in chronological order, USB drives with the videos, financial records showing suspicious spending patterns, 2 years of transactions I'd pulled Sunday night, sleep-deprived but thorough, highlighting every grocery purchase that aligned with her weekends away. Margaret's expression shifted from professional interest to predatory satisfaction as she reviewed everything. "This is comprehensive," she remarked. "I'm a systems analyst," I replied. "Documentation is what I do." She pulled up our prenuptial agreement on her computer. Emma had signed it without barely reading it, joking that she trusted me completely. The infidelity clause was standard but ironclad. In case of proven adultery, the cheating party forfeited claim to shared assets accumulated during the marriage. "Your house is in your name only?" she inquired. "Purchased with inheritance before marriage. Never added her name," I confirmed. "Joint accounts?" she continued. 3. Total of about $47,000. Her personal account has maybe $2,000, I answered. Margaret smiled. It wasn't pleasant. Mr. Mercer, your wife is about to learn an expensive lesson about consequences. With this evidence, she'll be lucky to walk away with her clothes. We spent 2 hours strategizing. Asset freezing would happen simultaneously with serving papers. The house was mine, the cars were in my name, even her jewelry, anniversary gifts, had been purchased with my inheritance funds, making them technically mine under state law. We'll file this Friday, Margaret explained. Serve her Monday evening, a week from today. Banks will freeze accounts Tuesday morning when they open. She won't have time to empty anything or hide assets. She's not that strategic, I said, then reconsidered. At least not about money. The rest of the week became an exercise in performance art. I brought Emma coffee in bed Tuesday morning, kissing her forehead as she smiled sleepily. How was work yesterday? I asked. Boring. Ryan's being a pain about the quarterly reports, she replied. She stretched, mentioning his name so casually. How about you? Same old. Thinking about taking on a new project, I answered. Wednesday, I suggested a date night. Emma's eye roll was subtle but there. Maybe next week? I'm just exhausted lately, she responded. Exhausted from her double life, I thought, but smiled. Of course, whenever you're ready, I said. That evening, while Emma was at yoga, or wherever she actually went on Wednesday evenings, I deep dove into our finances. She'd been siphoning money for longer than I'd realized. Small amounts, but consistent. $50 here, $100 there, cash back at grocery stores, returns for items that were never repurchased. Over 2 years, she'd stolen almost $15,000 in untraceable cash. I documented everything. Thursday, Emma announced another girls' weekend. I know it's soon, but Jessica's planning a spa retreat. Already booked and paid for. Would be a shame to waste it, she explained. Of course, I replied. Use the credit card if you need to. She kissed me then. Real enthusiasm. You're the best, Danny. So understanding, she said warmly. That night I watched her pack, noticing the new lingerie she thought she'd hidden beneath practical clothes. She hummed as she packed. Actually hummed. When was the last time she'd been this happy around me without Ryan being involved? Hey, I said from the doorway. I love you. She paused, glancing back with something like guilt. Love you too, she replied softly. Friday morning, Emma left for her spa weekend. At 2 p.m., Margaret called. It's filed. Papers ready for Monday evening, March 24th. Process server scheduled for 7 p.m. sharp. Accounts will freeze Tuesday morning when banks open, she reported. Emma came home briefly Sunday afternoon, just as she'd done the previous weekend, looking refreshed and happy. Great weekend, she said, kissing my cheek. The spa was exactly what I needed. Glad you enjoyed it, I replied, knowing she'd spent it with Ryan again. Sunday night, I prepared. Laid out my clothes for Monday, cleaned the house, set up a camera in the living room. Margaret had suggested documenting her reaction for potential protection orders if she became violent. Monday, March 24th. I went to work as normal, came home at 6 p.m. Emma arrived home from work at 6:45, complaining about traffic and Ryan's demands for the quarterly reports, still so casual with his name. At 6:57, I sat in my chair, iPad in hand, looking like I'd been relaxing. The camera rolled silently. The divorce papers sat in Margaret's messenger's bag, speeding toward our house. I'm thinking Thai food for dinner, she called from the kitchen. Sound good? Sounds perfect, I called back. The doorbell rang at 7 p.m. sharp. That must be the food already, she said, practically skipping to the door. That was fast. I stayed in the living room, listening to her footsteps, the door opening, her confused, yes? Then silence. Then the sound of paper rustling. Then a whisper, Daniel? The game was over. The war was won. And Emma was about to learn that the man she'd called spineless had a spine of steel. He'd just been saving it for something worth fighting for, his dignity. Emma stood in our doorway, the legal envelope trembling in her manicured hands. The process server had already retreated to his car, his job complete. Behind her, the evening light cast long shadows into our foyer, and for a moment, she looked like a photograph. Frozen, unreal, already a memory. "Daniel?" She said my name again, stronger this time, with a rising note of panic. "What is this?" I rose from my chair, setting down the iPad with deliberate calm. "Why don't you come in and sit down, Emma?" I suggested. She moved into the living room like a sleepwalker, her weekend glow from 2 days ago evaporating with each step. The envelope crinkled as her grip tightened. She hadn't opened it yet. Couldn't, maybe, as if not reading it would make it disappear. "Is this—" she started, then stopped. "Are you divorcing you?" "Yes," I confirmed. The word hung between us, a blade finally dropped. Emma's legs gave out, and she collapsed onto the sofa, the same one where we'd watched countless movies, where we'd made love in our early days, where she'd probably texted Ryan while I sat beside her, oblivious. With shaking fingers, she tore open the envelope. I watched her eyes scan the first page, the legal language of dissolution, then the second page, the adultery claim, the third, the evidence list. Her face transformed in stages, confusion, disbelief, then a dawning horror as she reached the financial sections. Asset freezing, property claims, the prenuptial agreement she'd forgotten existed. "You can't," she whispered. You can't know about—" "About Ryan?" I asked conversationally. "About the 2 years you've been having intimacy with him while I paid for it? About the girls' weekends that were never about the girls?" Emma's face went white. "How?" she breathed. I pulled out my phone, swiped to the saved videos. Her own voice filled the room from 2 weekends ago. "Danny boy is home paying the bills while I'm here getting my back blown out." She flinched as if I'd slapped her. "Your iPad," I said simply. "You left it unlocked. 2 Sundays ago. March 9th. "You went through my private messages?" she demanded, outrage flaring, desperate and misdirected. "You had no right—" "No right?" I laughed. It was a sound I didn't recognize. "I had no right to discover my wife has been cheating for 2 years? No right to learn you've been stealing from our accounts to fund your affair? No right to know you call me? What was it? Your spineless paycheck?" Each quote was a body blow. Emma curled into herself, the papers crumpling in her grip. "It's not— You don't understand. It wasn't like that," she said weakly. "Then explain it to me," I challenged. "Explain how calling me boring to your friends while riding another man isn't what it looks like." "We've been unhappy for years," the accusation burst out of her. "You must have felt it too. The distance, the routine. We became roommates, Daniel. Roommates." "So you decided to f*** Ryan instead of talking to me about it?" I shot back. "I tried. I suggested counseling," she protested. "Once, 2 years ago, and when I agreed, you said you were too busy with work," I corrected. Emma's mouth opened, closed. The truth was inconvenient to her narrative. "It just happened," she said weakly. "Ryan and we connected. He sees me, really sees me, not just as a wife or future mother or household manager. He sees me as a woman." "And I didn't?" I asked. "When was the last time you looked at me with passion, Daniel? Real passion, not just routine affection? When did you last surprise me, excite me, make me feel alive?" she challenged. I considered this. "You're right. I became comfortable, complacent. I thought loving you steadily, reliably was enough. I thought building a life together was the passion. But you know what, Emma? That's a conversation you have with your husband. That's a problem you solve together. You don't solve it by spreading your legs for your coworker." She flinched again. "Don't be crude," she said. Crude? I pulled up another video, her giggling voice. Sometimes a woman just needs to get what she needs. Stop! Emma lunged for my phone, but I pulled it away. 2 years, Emma. 2 years of lies. Every kiss goodbye, every I love you, every night you slept beside me after being with him. Can you even remember which touches were real anymore? I demanded. Tears started then, mascara running in dark rivers. I do love you, she began. You love my paycheck. Your words, not mine, I stated. That's not... I was drunk, joking with the girls. You know how women talk? She tried to explain. No, actually I don't. Because the women I know don't celebrate adultery. They don't help their friends hide affairs. They don't laugh about deceiving their husbands, I replied. Emma stood suddenly pacing. This is insane. You can't just end everything because of a mistake, she argued. A mistake? You mean like accidentally falling on Ryan's dick for 2 years? I responded coldly. Stop it, she whirled on me. Stop being so cold. Where's the man I married? The one who'd fight for us? He died sometime between you calling him spineless and charging your lingerie for another man on his credit card, I answered. That stopped her pacing. The accounts, she said, realization dawning. Frozen as of tomorrow morning when the banks open. Credit cards, too. Your car, which is in my name, remember, needs to be returned by Thursday, I informed her. You can't, she started. I can. Margaret Walsh is very thorough, I replied. Margaret Walsh? Emma's voice pitched higher. The shark? You hired the biggest bitch in the city to protect what's mine. Yes, I confirmed. Half of everything is mine. 9 years of marriage, she protested. Read the prenup, Emma, the one you signed, adultery clause, I said. She scrambled for the papers, finding the relevant section. Her lips moved as she read, the color draining from her face again. This can't be legal, she whispered. It is, I stated. I'll fight it. I'll get my own lawyer, she declared. With what money? I asked. The cruelty of that statement hung between us. Emma had maybe $2,000 in her personal account. Not enough for a retainer, barely enough for a month's rent somewhere. Ryan, she said suddenly, pulling out her phone. Ryan's been ignoring your calls since you texted him about the divorce papers, I interrupted. Oh, did you not notice? Check your messages. She did, frantically scrolling. The read receipts without responses, the unanswered calls. He's probably busy, she tried to rationalize. He's probably running back to his wife, I said. Emma's head snapped up. What? She asked. You didn't know? Ryan's married. Has been for 6 years. 2 kids. His wife's Instagram is quite lovely. Lots of happy family photos. Though I wonder how happy she'll be when she receives the package I'm sending tomorrow, I revealed. You wouldn't, she said, horrified. Why? Because it would ruin his life, destroy his family, cost him everything? I stood, matching her stance. Yes, Emma. I would. I will. I am. She came at me then, fists raised, but stopped short. Maybe she saw something in my face. Not the spineless husband she thought she knew, but the man who'd spent 2 weeks methodically dismantling her life. I'll deny everything. Say the videos are fake, taken out of context, she threatened. Your voice, your face, your Instagram locations tagged at the same places at the same times, your credit card records, text messages, 2 years of evidence, Emma. You documented your own destruction, I countered. She crumpled again, sliding down the wall to sit on the floor. The strong, confident woman who'd walked in 20 minutes ago was gone. Where am I supposed to go? She asked plaintively. That's not my problem anymore, I replied. My things, she began. You have 48 hours to pack your personal belongings. Starting Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. I'll be here to supervise. Anything purchased with marital funds stays, I informed her. "That's everything," she exclaimed. "Yes," I confirmed. The silence stretched. Emma's tears had stopped, replaced by something hollow. "You planned this," she said finally. "These whole 2 weeks you knew. You kissed me goodbye, wished me a good weekend, knowing." "Just like you kissed me goodbye for 2 years, knowing you were going to have intimacy with another man," I replied. "I made a mistake," she tried again. "Number A mistake is forgetting an anniversary, accidentally overdrawing an account. You made choices, hundreds of them. Every lie was a choice. Every meetup was a choice. Every time you laughed about me with your friends was a choice," I corrected. "What about forgiveness? What about for better or worse?" she pleaded. "Worse doesn't include adultery, Emma. It doesn't include theft. It doesn't include systematic deception and cruelty," I answered. She pulled herself up, trying for dignity. "I'll go to your family. Tell them you're being unreasonable," she threatened. "They never liked you. Tom told me yesterday when we played golf. They all saw what I was too blind to see," I revealed. That hit harder than anything else. Emma had always prided herself on charming my family. "This is really it?" she asked. 9 years and you're just done?" "You were done 2 years ago. I'm just making it official," I stated. She moved toward the stairs, probably thinking of the bedroom, the closet full of clothes, the jewelry box. "Where are you going?" I asked. "To pack," she started. "Not tonight. Your 48 hours starts Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Tonight, you leave with what you brought home," I clarified. "You can't kick me out of my own house," she protested. "My house, my name on the deed, and yes, I can. The paperwork's all in order," I corrected. Emma stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking up at what had been her life. "Where am I supposed to sleep?" she asked. "Maybe one of the girls from your weekend can help. Or Ryan, if he's answering. Or there's a Motel 6 off Route 9, I suggested. "You bastard," she spat. "No, Emma. I'm the spineless paycheck, remember? Except the paycheck's been canceled, and the spine was there all along. You just never bothered to look," I replied. She grabbed her purse and the jacket she'd worn to work, all she had with her now. "My car keys," she said. "In your purse. You have until Thursday to return it," I reminded her. At the door, she turned back one last time. "I loved you once," she said softly. "I know. That's what makes this worse." "You knew what you were throwing away and you did it anyway," I replied. "What if I'd been honest? Told you I was unhappy? That I wanted more?" she asked. "Then we'd be having a different conversation. Maybe divorce, maybe counseling, but either way, with dignity, with respect. Instead, you chose this," I answered. Emma's phone buzzed. She looked at it, hope flaring, but her face fell, not Ryan. "Goodbye, Emma," I said. She walked out, her heels clicking on the walkway. I watched her get in the car, my car, technically, and drive away. Her taillights disappeared around the corner and I closed the door. My phone buzzed. Margaret. "Divorce should be finalized within 30 days. She has no grounds to contest. Well played." I poured myself a scotch, the good stuff I'd been saving for a special occasion. The house was quiet, but not empty. Not lonely. Just mine. Tomorrow would bring drama. Emma calling everyone, spinning her story, trying to salvage something from the wreckage. But tonight, I sat in my chair, in my house, drinking my scotch, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. 6 months feels like a lifetime and an instant simultaneously. I stand in my kitchen, truly mine now, making pour-over coffee, taking time with the ritual. The morning sun streams through windows I had professionally cleaned last week, something Emma always said was a waste of money. The divorce was final in 32 days. Emma never found grounds to contest. Her own words had damned her thoroughly. Margaret had been worth every penny of her exorbitant fee. My phone buzzes with a text from Tom. Still on for lunch? Absolutely. Noon at Franklin's, I reply. I've been rebuilding relationships Emma had slowly corroded. Family dinners happen monthly now. My mother actually smiled last week, telling me I looked healthier than I had in years. Through the rumor network, this city's surprisingly small, I know Emma's situation. Ryan vanished the moment his wife received my package. Their divorce was apparently brutal. She took him for everything. Emma tried to play the victim card, but when a man's cheating with a woman who's cheating, sympathy runs thin. The girls' weekend crew scattered like roaches when the light hit. Jessica transferred to the Dallas office. Meredith unfriended Emma on everything after Emma asked to crash at her place for just a few weeks. Loyalty among thieves only extends so far. Emma works at a restaurant across town now, where she's less likely to run into anyone we knew. Double shifts, from what I hear. She shares a studio apartment with a roommate she found on Craigslist, a 23-year-old who parties loudly and pays rent sporadically. She tried reaching out twice. Once through my mother, who shut her down. Once through a mutual friend from college, claiming she'd learned her lesson and wanted to fix things. I never responded. There's nothing to fix. The foundation was rotten. I've been in therapy, something I should have done years ago. Dr. Martinez helped me understand that Emma's betrayal wasn't about my inadequacies. Some people need chaos, she explained. They mistake drama for passion, stability for boredom. The house has transformed. Emma's office is now a home gym where I work out every morning. Her closet holds my growing collection of vinyl records, a hobby I'd abandoned because Emma thought it was pretentious. The formal dining room became a library, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with everything I'd always wanted to read. I'm different, too. Lost 25 pounds of relationship weight. Updated my wardrobe with clothes that actually fit. Started playing guitar again, badly but enthusiastically. Took a solo trip to Japan, something Emma always dismissed as weird to do alone. Women at work have noticed. Sarah from accounting lingers at my desk, finding reasons to chat. The new project manager, Lisa, suggested coffee to discuss workflows. I'm not ready yet, but for the first time in years, I understand that I could be. Someday. My phone lights up with an unknown number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something makes me answer. Hello? I say. Mr. Mercer? This is Amy from Sunset Realty. I'm calling about the application for Unit 4B. We just need to verify employment for Emma Mercer, the voice explains. Emma and I are divorced. I can't verify anything for her, I interrupt. Oh, I see. She listed you as a reference, she continues. Please remove me from any paperwork. I'm not affiliated with Emma in any capacity, I state firmly. Of course. Sorry to bother you, she responds. I hang up, feeling nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, just nothing. She's a stranger now who happens to know my history. The coffee's ready. I pour it into the mug I bought in Tokyo, the one with the mountain and the rising sun. Steam rises, carrying the scent of something expensive and unnecessarily indulgent. Exactly the kind of thing I never allowed myself before. My laptop's open on the counter, showing the meditation app I've been using. 10 minutes every morning, learning to sit with myself without distraction, without the need for external validation. Emma would have mocked this too. The house is quiet, but it's a peaceful quiet. Not the tense silence of a dying marriage, but the calm of a life being rebuilt on solid ground. The foundation I'm building now is mine alone, and for the first time in years, I know it will hold. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.